Hey everybody, this is Tonya with Motivating Connections, and it is June 12th, 2022. It's Sunday, and I have not recorded in a long time, so I'm going to try to keep it brief. And I've got some notes here, and the reason I'm keeping it brief is because my good computer is really about to quit. So I'm using an older computer, and I just want to keep it simple. And just this recording is going to be actually the first recording that I posted, even that I'm going to actually post. So I'm taking steps of bravery, steps of faith, even though things are not where I would want them to be, because I've been waiting so long, because I've been trying to figure out how to change the email address that it goes to, and it took me a long time to even get the what do you call it when you set up like the video platform. I'm sorry, it's late at night. It's like after 10. So my brain has escaped me. At any rate, it took me a long time to even figure out how to set up the YouTube channel. That's it. So, but it's been set up for a while, and I had to figure out how to do a banner, figure out how to do the thumbnail and all these things. And so the last thing left was to do the set up an email connected to that, which I used to have an email account, but I don't have that anymore. So because of so many changes, which is what this video is about. And just the main thing to this video is about taking steps of obedience. Because me being here today after 10 o'clock when I'm ready to go to bed, that's why I got this on, because I washed my hair, and underneath here is my pre-style to my style, for those of you that have natural hair. So but I don't want to waste another day putting things off, because it's been weeks and weeks and weeks. And the last time I did a video was back in April, which I haven't uploaded any of these videos. And I started doing quite a few pretty regularly back in October, and I started doing my first videos really in 2017. So to give you a history, and I'm going to just tell you like the steps of obedience that got me to this point today. But in 2006, which I've said in some of the videos, I just God woke me up and told me some things that He wanted me to do, and so I quit my job in 2006 to follow obedience with being obedient to Him. And I learned how to do websites before WordPress was even heard of. I hadn't heard of it, and I learned how to actually figure out the HTML codes and do all these things to put a website together that had buttons, that had pages, and all these things. God enabled me to be able to do all that. So I had a website for a while, called Motivating Connections. I started in 2006. And then I stepped out and learned like teleconferencing long before Zoom, long before whatever else is out. And so I learned how to do that, and I was doing this weekly group dealing with fear, and I did, I think, two groups, or I don't remember how many groups I did. I think I did two groups, two 6 weeks groups, dealing with fear. So God has been working on me a long time with fear. And so then I started teaching small groups. So all that started in 2006. And then there's a number of things that happened in my life, which I won't go into, and I've talked about in some other videos. So I stopped, but I never quit. The vision never left me. I just was unable to carry out the vision because I was hit with so many painful things, and I had to just recover, regroup, regain my footing. And so then around 2012, well, I don't want to go into all things that happened, so I'm just going to tell you the things I did. So back in 2014 is when I was able to step out again after some devastating things, like back to back to back devastating things. And I started doing these girls' night outs, and I would have them at my house out of obedience to God, because I was always crying to God about things I was going through. And He said, I put people here on the earth, and there are people here at my hands and feet, and I want you to reach out to them. So I just started with all the like friends I knew that were girls, and then they would invite people, and those people would invite people. And then, but not that the groups got so big, because people couldn't always make it, but they were pretty large size groups. I think the most I had was like I would have was like 20 something when I would do the Christmas dinners, and I did like 2 or 3 Christmas dinners. And in my house, I would set up a beautiful table with, I had like 25, 27 people. And there would be even young women there. When I say young, someone would bring their daughters. And so it was just such a blessing. And I just kept, even though I was going through like the greatest heartache of my life. And then in 2015, so I had to take down my website because I wasn't able to afford it. And a lot of stuff happened. And so 2015, I worked it out again to where at least I could do a blog. So I learned how, and this was before blog. I mean, blogs were out there, but they weren't like they were now, and YouTube videos weren't like they are now. And so I was learning how to do that, and I was kind of spotty. I mean, I did them more often, then it got more and more spotty because of all the things I was going through. So then, in 2017, I started making videos because YouTube started getting more popular. I just did a couple of with my grandson because there was just things I just know God has called me. God has given me a big, big vision. I've never left the vision. I was always doing whatever I could do with the vision that God had given me. So I made a video with my grandson, which has not been posted, and I think I did a couple. I know I did a couple of others during that time. So I got sidetracked again. Personal things again, super devastating things to me. Divorce. Then I was in a hit and run accident. It caused concussion. The concussion really caused me to have a lot of physical issues. Then because of the divorce, I ended up having to move out my house that I've been in 21 years. And then COVID came. So the divorce was finalized in 2017, even though my former husband left me in 2012. And he didn't actually start the process until 2011, somewhere around there. At any rate, so then COVID came, and I'm dealing with a number of things. Plus dealing with personal trauma behind the divorce, behind how my life changed, behind the cyclical happenings that just took my life down, 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 down. Then dealing with depression and anxiety. Then I was having location trauma because I ended up having to move into my grandmother's vacant house in the city. Not that the city is bad, but the area that it was in, it was like I was always hearing these gunshots I never heard. I lived in a peaceful neighborhood, so dealing with all that, and then shootouts like right on the corner. I'm the second house from the corner from me, and it just, when I say location trauma from that, and seeing the depression and the depravity and the zombie likeness in the area that's around me because of the poverty and the lack that's here. So all that produced a trauma. Then I was an independent contractor, ended up losing my job. Then I got to where I was down in poverty, and to the point where I didn't get no food stamps, but still I hadn't lost sight of the vision. And I was always praying to God and just trying to get well so that I could carry out what he called me to do. So the best I could do it sometimes would just be to pray for people or remain on the intercessory prayer team at my church. So I could do that, but it got to the point where I couldn't even I didn't even go to church, one for COVID, two because anxiety and panic attacks got so bad. And so then I got into counseling because my church has a counseling department, and I was in counseling for over a year, and then I started like rebuilding myself, and there's lots and lots of things that provoked the anxiety and caused more and more trauma, like thing after thing after thing, from deaths and family things and so many things that I just went through. And still trying to adjust from having been married 24 and a half years before my former husband left me, and then another 3 years. It ended up being 5 years total before the divorce was final, so it was like 29 and a half years I was married. That was my whole life. I mean, I had just turned 20. I was barely 20, at 2 weeks 20 years old, and now I'm almost 54 now, but it was all of those years of thinking my life was one way, and then all of a sudden I'm dealing with all these things. So To the point last year, well, not even last year, this year, probably this year, about February, or so, where I felt like I was starting to get my footing because I had gotten another job. God brought it to me in November last year, and I was just rebuilding, trying to recover from all the blows that I had taken and all the losses, and steadily focusing on God and getting in counseling. I eventually had to go into trauma counseling because there ended up being just so much violence around me. And so I got to where I could just see light again. And then back on Good Friday, a loved one got shot in front of my house. When my grandkids and I we were out there playing, and they could have been in that, and actually it could have been me because of the way that they fired. But praise God, everybody was okay. So he got shot twice in front of my house. So that was like super traumatic because I have to live here, and I'm still living here and living in all that. But trusting God, and reminding myself from all the years and years that I studied God's word, and believe in the things I believed about him being loving and wise and all powerful and all knowing, and that he's good for me, good to me, longs to bless me. I think I got that from Chip Ingram. But just believing God, and that he's going to protect me, and he won't leave me without support. He won't leave me with help. So just practicing the scriptures and knowing that he didn't give me visions for nothing, and even still being able to see everything that has happened in my life is still connected back to the main vision that he's given me. So here I am taking steps of obedience. And with that, this past Thursday, so I'm going to be winding down to get to where I am now. But I just want to put this out there, where just kind of like a quick succession of things about steps of obedience. It's so important that we obey God. But so Thursday, there was something that happened with a loved one that affected some very, very dear relationships to me. But I had been allowing things to happen for years, which was putting me in a bad spot because I cared more about people than myself. And it was just about people pleasing and letting people abuse me and use me and all these things, thinking that I'm doing the right thing. But as I'm getting whole and healed, God is showing me how to really love people and to love myself. And so Thursday, I had to just not respond to somebody who it was more about bullying, how they was responding, and it was crossing some boundaries. It wasn't showing care for me, but more care for them. So I took steps of obedience, and I did not respond, even though I want to respond. But I knew if I responded, there was no win to it. Like if I responded this way, a whole bunch could happen. If I respond that way, stuff good. There just was no way to win. So I did not respond, and I just like, God, I think that's the best way. And I listened to a message from Pastor Mike Ty Transformation Church today about cuffed to, was it comments today? I forgot. But the message from today, where it was talking about Nehemiah, it was like confirming I did the right thing. So that was Thursday. I obeyed God, and I did not respond to this person. And then Friday, I had the counselor that I did have, that was a trauma counselor. The flex spending account from my job ran out, so I don't have any extra cash at this time to put towards that. So at the same time I was telling her that I was going to have to stop counseling, God had worked it out. So another counselor told her about this program that will pay for Black women to get counseling. So it's like, look at you, Jesus. And so it took a lot for me even to tell her. But so I did tell her, and I filled out the application. Well, they were full, and now they sent me something on Monday. So I didn't have time Monday through Friday because a lot of things was happening in my family. So I filled out the application on Friday. Obedience. I said, I'm going to take the time to stop. I'm going to do it, even though I had a lot of other things going on. So Thursday, I did not respond to the person because I was thinking about what would be best for me. And then Friday, I filled out the application because God was like, you need to do this today. Then the next thing that happened, as soon as I filled it out, he was like, now you need to seek out a counselor. And so I'm looking at the time, but I knew I had like about an hour, so I just started seeking out a counselor. And I took that step of obedience. And then I found a group of counselors that seemed really good. So then I started going through, and there was this one I almost didn't respond to, but it was like God said respond. And I looked up, I mean, I almost didn't even look at, excuse me, but I looked at her page and she had everything: trauma, divorce, depression, anxiety, social, and all these things, issues that I have. She dealt with all those things. And um, she also, like some of the other counselors, had affiliations with things that don't match with my beliefs, what the Bible talks about, and she didn't have any affiliations with any of those things. So I reached out to her and I was obedient. And then so I was like, okay, God, I know you're doing something. And when I saw she even has where she can do an employee assistance program, because my job has that. So, and I think that the group account she's in is the same. It's one of the groups that the group that I applied for will pay for counselors for. I think she's in that too. At any rate, so I followed those. I followed that, reached out to her. So I was like, thank you, Lord. And I'm feeling like God is doing some things. Saturday, I have been talking to my one of my friends about renting this pontoon boat. So I rented this boat so because I wanted to take my grandkids on the boat, and then I wanted her to be able to take her grandkids too, because I didn't really want to do it by myself. But I was trying to be brave, and I never rode a boat before, but I just felt like this brave thing. So I watched some YouTube videos and I talked to the marina about 3 times. Like, all I gotta do is this. They act like it was no big deal. So I just watched some videos, and y'all, I drove a pontoon boat. A pontoon boat's for 10 people, and it was me, my friend, her 2 grandkids, and my 1 grandkids, because my other ones was not able to go. And so I borrowed a couple fishing poles. It was like the free fishing weekend for Missouri, and look at God. So we went fishing for the pontoon boat, and I had been able to save this money, to like 2 months, to save money to rent the boat for 2 hours. And so I was like, God, look at you. And it's felt like he was doing something. And she kept saying, you so brave and you so adventurous. And I was just like, man, it just, ooh, you don't know how much it takes to just press past my fears and do it anyway. But I thank you, God, that you helped me to face those fears, to trust you with the unknown, because I didn't know what was happening. We did have a boating adventure, but that's a whole nother story. We made it, worked out, and we got on. We had a great time. So Sunday, here we are to today. Um, Let me see. I can't read my writing. Made. Oh, yes, yes, yes. So after I watched the Transformation Church, which I usually, if I don't go to my church and I watch it online, I'll watch my first service, second service. Then there's a couple of other churches I watch, but one of them is always Transformation Church. So I watched Transformation Church and I watched it live. And so for the first time, I just felt like I wanted to make a comment, but it was like, you don't need to. And then it was like his whole message was about ignoring other people's comments, because the reason why I wasn't gonna make one, because I'm caught up in what people think and stuff. So, and plus I have my little motivating connections light bulb, and I was like, but I don't have the email set up, and I was just like, I'm just gonna make it. And all I just want to say was I just pray the Lord continues to bless Transformation Church, because it has blessed my life. I've been following them since Mike, Pastor Mike has become the pastor, and it's just blessed me in so many ways. So I made that comment because I felt like God said it, and I was obedient anyway. I made the comment, and then just like in the middle of last week, I felt like he was like, you need to join a big group through them, because I can't join a group through my church. One, because I was so active in my church in the beginning, and people are used, this is my feeling, used to me being a certain way. They don't understand that I can't be how I used to be, because I'm recovering, and I can't, there's so many things, that little things trigger me, and the anxieties that I've been through, that I can't carry the weight that I used to carry for people, or I'm unable to people please like I used to please, or unable to intercede the way I used, even though I still intercede in private. The interaction, I'm trying to get my footing back with that, because there's been so much social anxiety because of so many things that I've gone through, that I've and lies of the enemy that I'm trying to overcome and stuff. So when people see me, they just want to talk to me and pour things on me. So in my church, I literally sneak in and sneak out because I'm just not in a place to do that right now. I'm still involved in the intercessory team. We're starting a inner city church, and I'm involved with that behind the scenes interceding. But the groups that we have, they don't have, like, their online groups are not, they're not as strong as the in-person groups. But Transformation Church is more like of a worldwide church. So I was like, I know they'll have a group that is like a group that you can still be connected with that's online. So God was like, you need to be a part of that. So I joined a B group today, and then at the end of the B group, I even put a comment to the leader, because just, it was like God led me, like I was looking at the timing of where she is, the days that fit my schedule, and then the title of her group, which just spoke to my heart things about me. And so I just did it. And while I did so I signed up. I was like, thank you. So I was putting her information in my phone, like as a contact and stuff, because they sent me the reply form. And somehow after I did it, I accidentally called her, but I hung up real quick after it barely rang one time. So I was like, hopefully she didn't get it. But if she did got that, must mean you want me. There's no coincidence with you. You want me to connect with her. So after I put that in, after I made the phone call, I was like, wait. I even had put her number in. I was like, her area code is the same as my area code. Oh my gosh, is she in the same state that I'm in? About 10 minutes later, she calls me, but I missed it because I was doing something else, and I keep my phone on silent because I never know what I'm going to be doing, and I forget to turn it off a lot, so I just keep it on silent. So I looked up, I was like, oh my gosh, she's calling me. She received my application, well, not my application, but she received my B group thing. So I thought she was calling me for that. So when I called her back, I was like, I'm going to be brave, I'm going to call her back. So I called her back, like, and I said her name, and she was like, yes. Then I was like, yeah, and whatever happened, it would end up like she was like, well, yeah, you called me. And I was like, well, that was an accident, but I was calling you because I thought you was calling me, and that ain't why she was calling me. So, and then we both started laughing. She was like, no coincidence. She's like, that was not by accident. I was like, I know there's no coincidence. This was God. No, come to find out, she lives in an area that I'm very familiar with that's not too far from me. Who does that but God? So I just want to say, by following all these steps of obedience, God is doing something because I was obedient to Him. So I am going to upload this video. Jesus, have your way. And so just those of you that are watching, the things I want to encourage you with is, and then that's why I wanted to share it, because every time we do what God tells us to do, there's a blessing. And when we think of Genesis, Exodus, oh Lord, Leviticus 26 and Deuteronomy 20, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Genesis 26 and Deuteronomy 20. It's been so long since I've looked these verses up, and again, it's late in my brain. At any rate, where there's a chapter where it talks about blessings and curses, and they both talk about Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. Now I think I done got everything mixed up. I done forgot where it is. So it might not be Exodus. It could be Leviticus and Deuteronomy. Anyway, blessings for obedience. And so it just talks about all the things that come when we obey God. So I'm just excited for God, what God's doing, because I feel like I've gone way, way, way down to the pit, stripped of everything. And then I'm like on my way up. And there's ups and downs. But I feel like even though I'm still in the midst of stuff, I'm in the midst of stuff as a person who is being healed and made whole. And I just want to say, friends, obey God. Blessings for obedience. we can't go wrong if we follow God and we trust in Him. And this video is way longer than I thought it was going to be. So let me just say a prayer. So God, I just thank you for your word that it teaches us how to obey, that it encourages us with obedience. And I thank you for Transformation Church and all the other churches that are out there that are encouraging us to get in the word, follow the word, to live by the word, because your word, it guides us and it shows us how to live, and it brings us out of deep dark places. And I thank you for doing that for me, Lord, and I know that you're doing that for other people. So I pray, Lord, that this video would be just a blessing and encouragement and a spark of hope and a ray of light to people, as I shared a little bit of my testimony, that no matter what you're going through, God is bigger still, and He won't leave us without support, and He's fighting for you, and He's for you, and He's not against you. So hang in there, my brother, my sister. Keep obeying God. Keep seeking Him. He will bless you. So I could say more, like He did for Job, like He did. Well, I'll stop. But bless you, my brother and sister. This is Tonya with Motivating Connection signing off.